Welcome to Black Health, a weekly talk show discussing medical issues impacting and afflicting South Florida's Black community. Now introducing our host, Dr. Michelle Kirwan.
Greetings and welcome back to another episode of Black Health, brought to you by the Health Foundation of South Florida. Black Health, we address health issues affecting the Black community. Today, we are talking about the back-to-school season for our youth, and we have brought back pediatric emergency medicine physician, Dr. Alana Arnold, to do so. Dr. Alana Arnold is a board-certified pediatric emergency medicine physician and entrepreneur who's here to talk about her new company, Parent Partners. Parent Partners work focuses on improving children's health in our community by giving family tools to gain health literacy while empowering them. Welcome back to Black Health, Dr. Arnold.
Thank you, Dr. Kirwan. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to see you again. Great to have you back on our show. Thank you for taking your time out of your day. I know you're busy day, saving children's lives.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And to empower our community. So tell us about your company, Parent Partners, and how you're using your platform to educate the community.
Yes. So Parent Partners really focuses on a community-based tool to help our parents and families. It is an app that is easy to use. If you have a smartphone, you can have access to it. But it's a group that's organized with tons and tons of programming in an easy to understand format about issues that affect our community. We have programming around asthma care, back to school program that I'll talk to you about. And it's a mixed media app. So we have short, like bite-sized videos that you can see and help understand the material, as well as other articles and kind of more in-depth programming that's written. We also have chat features so that you can engage the medical team like 24/7, myself and other healthcare providers. So it's really like a 360 full service app where anybody, as long as you have access to a smartphone and subscribe to us, you can gain that expert vetted medical knowledge without, trolling through TikTok looking for answers from someone who does not have any medical training. So the reason why we started it was really to bridge that gap where families want knowledge, they want to go to a source that is trusted and an expert. So we're really developing Parent Partners to fill that gap, to be that go-to app so that you can have access to all of that programming to help your child grow to a happy, healthy adult.
Awesome. So no more Dr. Google. We're going to
Exactly.
How does a subscription work? What does that look like?
Yeah, so our content is housed on the Wellness Wits app. It's an app that was started actually by a friend and colleague of mine who's a physician as well. She has programming for all types of people. Our programming, Parent Partners, is a group on that app. So all you have to do is subscribe to the group. It's very seamless, like one-click link, put your information in, and you'll have a subscription for the app. And again, you have access to it 24/7. We have our launching website, which is wellnesswits.com/parent partners. You can go there and see all of our programming available. And again, you just click the link to join, and you will be walked through the subscription process to gain access to the 24/7 content. The one thing that I really like about our programming is that it's asynchronous, meaning you can join anytime and keep up with the programming. So we have programs that are literally like a 12-week long. For example, our asthma care program. So you can follow along at your own pace, and you'll always have access to that content. So as long as you're subscribed monthly, you can go back and forth, hop between programming as much as you like, because we want to tailor it to the needs of the family. So you might have a child with asthma. You might have a child with, some obesity issues. You might have a child that is a newborn, need neonatal and kind of infant information. So all of our programming, you can hop around as much as you like. And it's all there once you subscribe on the website and get the app.
Yeah, as an outpatient pediatrician myself, I can see where that would be very useful to my patients to have access to something like that 24/7. Often they're relying on their pediatrician calling them back after hours, and sometimes they don't want to bother their pediatrician. I have a lot of patients tell me, "I didn't want to bother you." Okay, but you
Those
stay
are really nice patients, Dr. Karen. Those are gems. You should keep them.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about your back to school program. So what are some of the essential health checkups or screenings that parents should schedule as their kids go back to school?
Yeah, so this is a really important question because I think, us in the clinical field, you take it for granted, but some families don't know if, your child's otherwise healthy, they're just kind of plowing along. But it is so critical, especially when your child is school age, they should be having their yearly, what we call an annual physical being performed. That means your child should be going to the physician at least once a year to do a full comprehensive exam to make sure that they're on track for their development, checking their overall health, vision. That's another big thing, especially as kids get into school that, they might not have seen the doctor and they might have vision problems, which lead to issues concentrating, things like that, or doing their work in school. So you always want to make sure that you are doing at least one full annual checkup with your physician, as well as like a sports physical for the older kids when they are getting clearance to participate in sports. There are certain little other things that you want to do, like maybe an EKG to look at the rhythm of the heart. So those are the two things that you want to make sure that you're doing: the annual full comprehensive checkup as well as a sports physical if your child is going to be participating in sports.
So I think the other component of that back to school is vaccination. So how can parents
Mhm.
ensure that their children are up to date with their vaccinations, and why is that so important for school attendance?
Yeah, so vaccines are critical to not only the health of your child, but to our communities. I think it's lost on a lot of people that, it is a personal decision, but we live in communities. You don't live in isolation. And so the reason why vaccination is so important is that you give protection to these horrible illnesses that used to, plague really not only our country, but around the world. And thankfully, many of us are young enough to not have lived through that, things like polio and things like that. But vaccines are really critical because you're protecting your child, but also when they're in an environment with others, you create this entity called herd immunity, meaning that the collective is protected because you have a majority of people who are vaccinated. So even if you have a one off of someone having a case of an infection, the majority is protected with immunity so that it doesn't spread like an endemic issue or a pandemic, which obviously we were just living through with COVID. So it's really important that families understand that it's not only a duty to help your child, make sure that they are protected and grow and be healthy, but also making sure that all of our kids, especially in school situations, are protected so that everyone has a chance to attend school safely and get the learning that they need without worrying about these serious illnesses that can be really debilitating that we have vaccines for.
Yeah. So you mentioned COVID and the pandemic. One thing I notice every year, back to school season, we get slammed with patients. We get them all those yellow forms and the vaccine
Yeah.
forms. We get them all into school, and about a month later, they all start coming back.
Yes,
Somewhere between
yes.
September and October, everybody's back in school. Now everybody is getting sick. So how can parents, I'm sorry, encourage good hygiene practices for their children at
Yes.
school, especially with ongoing concerns about viruses and infections?
Yeah, so our back to school program on Parent Partners, which is one of the programs you can subscribe to, I mentioned, talks exactly about this. So hand hygiene is critical. Kids are going to be active, they're going to be running around, they're getting into lots of things. But hand hygiene, washing your hands regularly and frequently is really critical. I always tell families, obviously, you want to be washing your hands after going to the bathroom, but also when you're transitioning spaces. So if you were just outside and you're coming back inside, you want to wash your hands. If you're about to eat a meal, you want to wash your hands. So when you have all of these points of contact where you have hand hygiene, that decreases the rate of infection because you're kind of resetting and eliminating all of those germs that you have carrying around. Um, it's important to make this kind of a habit for the child so that it's basically second nature. And in that way, you're going to help mitigate getting as sick as often as kids do. There's tons of viruses around, so it's normal that a child will get sick, especially once they're school age. But if you have good hand hygiene, you're going to decrease that. The other component that is really important and often overlooked is just a child's overall balanced nutrition. if you have proper sleep hygiene and good nutrition to help build your immune system, you're going to get sick or critically sick less frequently because you have that nice backup of a strong, robust immune system. So all of that content we speak about on Parent Partners in our back to school program.
Dr. Arnold, I am glad you brought up nutrition. I have a question about that, but we need to take a quick commercial break. Black Health is brought to you by the Health Foundation of South Florida. We are talking to Dr. Alana Arnold about the back to school season. We will be right back.
The sound of your heart can tell us so much. At Baptist Health Heart and Vascular Care, we listen closely to diagnose and treat simple to complex cardiac and vascular conditions. Our team of multidisciplinary physicians utilizes the latest treatments and minimally invasive techniques so that you can get back to what you heart most. Welcome to Innovative Heart and Vascular Care.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters, because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Help comes in many forms. As a Miami-Dade County bus operator, you can help your community, help those in need, and even help yourself. Operators have the opportunity to earn more than $50,000 a year plus built-in overtime, earn more than 13 paid holidays and vacation days, and take advantage of the tuition reimbursement program. Plus, qualified new drivers will receive a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Become a driving force in our community. Apply now at miamidade.gov/busdriver.
Welcome back to Black Health. We are talking with Dr. Alana Arnold about the back to school season. So we were just talking about nutrition. And one thing I know for sure is that most children are skipping lunch because they don't enjoy the school lunch. There's a significant lack of healthy options in most school lunch programs. So what advice do you have to parents in navigating around that and packing maybe nutritious lunches for their children that the kids will actually eat and maybe enjoy?
Yes, that's very important. And what I always tell families is that you want to keep it simple. Kids, unless there's something else going on, they're always going to eat what's presented into them. No child is going to starve themselves. And so one of the simple things you can do in terms of nutritional lunches is you want to just have some broad categories that you're consistent with. Always want to have some fruit. Things like apples or berries, things like that with a lot of fiber, antioxidants are really great and typically pretty tasty because you have a different variety and get a little sweetness there. And then just having something as simple like a sandwich, but being mindful of the contents of it. So whole wheat is always a better choice than white bread, for example. And then one thing I've come to learn is people can go crazy with these condiments, right? They got tons of mayonnaise, got honey mustard on the thing. And it's like, by the time you put like 28 sauces on it, you really destroy the nutrition. So you want to try to mitigate and limit the amount of kind of those fatty trans fats that you have in a lot of the sauces. So just keep it simple, like a little mayo and mustard, that should be fine. And then with the protein, you can either do something that's heavy on veggie, but like a lot of root vegetables or like eggplant, like mushroom portobello, something like that. That's meaty, that would be satisfying. Or if you're just doing meats, you want to try to avoid those things, again, that are really salty and cured meats. So just staying away from, like prosciutto, ham products, typically the cured meats. just because they have higher salt and fat content. Something simple like chicken or turkey would be preferred. And also, if you want chips, right? Chips are super common. People get a sandwich and chips. Instead of going for the potato chip, maybe try some popcorn. You'll still have that texture, that crunch, but it's not going to be as fatty. Or going for a baked product like baked chips instead of the fried chips that we typically have. So whenever you're faced with that choice, try to go for a slightly healthier option, and you'll see that over time, that's going to accumulate. You can kind of reset someone's taste buds so that they're still enjoying the lunch, but you're not having all that excess fat and salt that's built into it. So even if it's like a multi-generational home or environment, which a lot of our community may be in, as best as you can, you want to make sure that that area is going to be quiet and calm when the child's put to sleep. Many times, if you say you got aunties and uncles around or grandparents, if you approach it in that way to kind of have them support you, say, hey, Junior's bedtime is set for 8 o'clock each night, you'll be surprised at how many people will support you. So even though the rest of the household might be up and doing things, if you kind of package it that this is really important for his development to make sure he gets a good night's sleep so he can perform at school and get the best grades, have better mood, all those types of things that are intangible, then a lot of times your other family members are going to be supportive because they want to make sure that they're doing the best they can for the child as well. And presenting it in that way really helps.
What about physical activity? What role does that play in the child's overall health? And how can parents ensure that their kids are getting enough exercise during the school year, especially in the light of schools really decreasing the availability of PE as a class?
Yeah, so this is so critical to many things, physical activity. So I'll just touch on a few that we speak about in our Parent Partners program, because we have a whole program dedicated to childhood obesity and how important physical activity is. But so one of the major things that a lot of people don't realize is that it's critical for brain development. You think about sports, someone developing hand-eye coordination, the ability to plan and have strategy in team sports, the ability to be organized and those types of things, you can apply to not only schoolwork, but to life in general. So that's one part that is really important about physical activity and team sports play. The other is the social aspect, right? It's a lot of fun. You get to meet different types of people that you may not have in your little bubble in your class, which is really important for people networking, relating to others, having empathy, learning discipline to be consistent in a sports setting. Again, all of that can be applied to school as well as just life in general, which are critical skills that you want your child to be developing. And then the most obvious one is your physical health. Children are growing throughout childhood. And so being able to keep their bodies fit and pushing their development so that they can excel physically is really important to make sure that they have that discipline and regimen in their life as they're going into adulthood. So participating in physical health and PE is so important because you touch on all of these aspects of a child's life that not only directly helps them in the moment, but also setting them up for success as they go through adulthood.
Yeah, I echo all of those things that you said about sports. I played sports through college, and for me, it was incredibly beneficial in the rest of my life, and just in doing what I do in my work ethic, discipline, persistence, ability to work with others, teamwork, and that competitive edge that you need to get through certain things, to make it through. So I think physical activity is something really important for children. I always encourage it. We do need to take another quick commercial break. Black Health is brought to you by the Health Foundation of South Florida. We are talking about the back to school season with Dr. Alana Arnold, and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Dr. Arnold, I am glad you brought up nutrition. I have a question about that, but we need to take a quick commercial break. Black Health is brought to you by the Health Foundation of South Florida. We are talking to Dr. Alana Arnold about the back to school season. We will be right back.
The sound of your heart can tell us so much. At Baptist Health Heart and Vascular Care, we listen closely to diagnose and treat simple to complex cardiac and vascular conditions. Our team of multidisciplinary physicians utilizes the latest treatments and minimally invasive techniques so that you can get back to what you heart most. Welcome to Innovative Heart and Vascular Care.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman and Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters, because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman and Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Help comes in many forms. As a Miami-Dade County bus operator, you can help your community, help those in need, and even help yourself. Operators have the opportunity to earn more than $50,000 a year plus built-in overtime, earn more than 13 paid holidays and vacation days, and take advantage of the tuition reimbursement program. Plus, qualified new drivers will receive a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Become a driving force in our community. Apply now at miamidade.gov/busdriver.
Welcome back to Black Health, brought to you by the Health Foundation of South Florida. We're talking about the back to school season with Dr. Alana Arnold. Dr. Arnold, I think something that's really important to touch on is the mental and emotional well-being of children. How can parents help their kids manage anxiety and stress related to school,
Yes.
any school issues?
Yes, this is critically important, and I know a lot of people lived through this during the pandemic when schools were closed and all of a sudden the child's home pretty much 24/7. So it's something that affects so many kids in different ways, their mental health. One of the things that I always say to families is that you want to start by having a good rapport and relationship with your child, and that starts from a very young, early age. You want to make sure that you have open dialogue and communication with your child. Ask them about, how their day went. Know about who their friends are. And once they get to school age, really giving yourself or establishing yourself as a presence in their life. So speaking with their teachers, making sure that you're present, speaking with the principal, so that anybody who is interfacing with your child knows that there's a parent involved and has that connection. It's so important that even when things are going very well, you want to have that connection because it builds a strong and safe bond between the parent and child so that, as we know, life has its ups and downs and challenges, that the child doesn't feel isolated or alone or shame around any issues that may be going on. So that's really critical. But in general, with mental health, bullying and cyberbullying is a huge issue. And we talk about these issues in our back to school program on parent partners. You want to make sure that if it does seem, for example, your child's struggling, be it with depression, anxiety, depending on your child's temperament and the age, they can present in different ways. So a child may just be more listless or irritable and might not be voicing those sentiments, whereas another child may actually, just have loss of interest in certain activities, not wanting to go to school, truancy, and things like that. So you have to be very in tune with your child's temperament and how they typically are when they're happy. And if there is something that you notice may be going on, having that dialogue and speaking with them openly and candidly, but also making sure that you seek medical help from a professional in terms of perhaps just your pediatrician to initially start, or doing like family therapy and things like that, because it's so important to not ignore those symptoms and let the child know that they're in a safe space, you support them, and you're going to help them get through whatever issues they may be experiencing.
touch briefly on, although it's a topic that could have a show all of its own, but is social media, cell phones,
Mm,
screen time. We only have about a minute or two left,
yes.
but give us some pearls on that.
Yeah, so screen time is something that is now just with us. No way you can avoid it, and even a lot of schools have some of their content, their educational content, on devices. The short answer that I'll say is that anyone who knows me knows that I'm kind of a purist and a traditionalist. I think that unless it's directly related to education and schoolwork, you should really limit it. Socialization skills, being able to speak to each other, being able to do critical thinking, but also having the ability just to entertain yourself. So kids using their imagination and developing those types of skills are so critically important instead of always having a device in their face. Not only do we see issues kind of in terms of their development, but longer term, but ADHD and other disorders like that, we see that having those devices can really up children's anxiety, and as I mentioned, bullying and things like that. So limiting screen time, in my opinion, is critical to help that child develop into their own autonomy, and using it obviously when necessary, but keeping in mind that it is a tool, but not necessarily a necessity when the child is in a school setting.
So, Dr. Arnold, we do need to wrap up. Any final words for our listening audience?
So I just like to say that our programming on parent partners is critical, I think, to help us build healthy and strong kids. Our job is really to give the parents and families tools to get vetted expert information. So please subscribe. Again, the website is wellnesswits.com/parent partners. You can also follow us on Instagram at penpal, PEMPAL _parents. We have a lot of content there where you can engage and chat with us. The goal is really to have you speak with medical experts in a safe, supportive environment and build communities with families that are similar to yours so we can help develop and raise kids in a safe environment.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Alana Arnold, for your time today. Your name is a little bit of a tongue twister for me.
Thank you for having me.
Taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you for what you're doing with parent partners. I definitely will be directing my patients to use it as a tool that they, it's just one of me, but it's a whole wealth of knowledge out there. And if you're getting it from a good source, a proper source, a medically sound source like parent partners, then that can take you a long way as well. So thank you everybody for watching Black Health. You can find me on Black Health Show on IG, and we will see you next time. Have a great week, everybody.